Hello, and thank you for tuning into my live reading of 13 Offerings, my first novel. And for a recap, we left off with our navigator who ran into a vampire in the hull of the pirating ship that he is on. So we are coming out of that story, and we will be heading into the last of the MEDUSA story, which is kind of more of like a wrap-up. And I'm just going to go ahead and start. All right. The waterlogged bit of crate peeled away until just a few pulpy flakes remained. These too soon wavered into non-existence. The smoke cleared from Bannon's eyes as he turned to look at his brothers. "How have we not heard of your crew's interactions with the supernatural?" Angus asked. We see much and very few of us ever leave the ship to spread tales," Bannon told them. "Where did you say these events occurred?" Killian asked. Bannon smirked. "I didn't." "Is it a big secret?" Patrick laughed slightly. "No, not at all. They occurred here," Bannon replied to their surprise. "Here?" Patrick asked. "These are old stories by Vacant Realm standards," Bannon replied. "You don't remember when I used to sail here?" "I do," Angus muttered. "It was a rebellious time for me," Bannon continued. "Who knew it would lead to my life's calling?" "Where you hardly watch your own land," Angus challenged. "I'm rarely needed down there," Bannon scoffed. "Besides, their cities are so spread out, I can better serve by being mobile. Anyway, these stories took place right here before the gods were banished." "Ah, yes, I remember. That was when Olympus became God's grace," Killian replied. It was growing a bit crowded here," Angus groaned. "And don't get me started on the cult of the one true God." Oh yes, the Masons," Bannon nodded, thinking of the bad memories. They have many names and many factions," Killian commented. "Anyway, this land had 2 more witch doctors than needed." "Yes, well, now that you have God's grace, Killian, it has been quite manageable," Angus sighed. "I've always been curious," Patrick interrupted. "How do you travel so easily between the worlds, Bannon, especially the Vacant Realm? I nearly end up in the Arctic every time I come here." "Well, we do not make the trip often," Bannon confessed. "Our benefactor makes the transition easier." "The Bermuda Triangle is not an easy path, even with the appropriate magic," Killian commented. "You should not be so blasé about it." "I'm not. We just have a less difficult way. A back door of sorts," Bannon smirked. "This is all fascinating, Bannon, but perhaps we should let someone else have the floor," Angus called. "Killian, perhaps you have another to share?" "I have one last tale," he told them, and removed a long, thin object from his pocket. "I offer this tale of a dismal life doomed to end in bloodshed," he announced as he placed it upon the table, where it sprang to life, becoming a small creature that slithered and flopped in a disoriented circle. The love of Medusa. People had once flocked from all over Greece to see the magnificent temple of Athena. The temple had lain in a virtual paradise, that is, until Athena razed the island and its inhabitants to utter oblivion. Now the island lay barren, the trees lifeless, naught but a forest of skeletal silhouettes starkly etched by the setting sun. Ancient abandoned vessels lined the tiny coast, marking the waters where they rose to the shallow's edge. The ships, once the pride of their various regions, floated desolate and dead, nothing more than additions to a cryptic collection, much as their masters to Medusa's ever-expanding stone garden. Medusa slithered across the deserted ruins, which served as her prison. Squinting against the sun, she gazed down at the shore, recalling the island's former glory. Lately, the threat of a new ship on the horizon seemed ever present. The one now was just a speck in the distance. Soon enough, it would breach her shore, and a new horde would disembark in search of her head. Medusa picked at the statue of her last victim. He wasn't much older than she had been when cursed to this wretched existence. She longed to trade places. He was free to run in the Elysian fields, eternally happy now. She, on the other hand, was cursed with immortality. True, on the few occasions she had been close to death, each time, when she thought release would finally be hers, Hades' eyes averted from her petrifying gaze and sent her away. She could die. She could be slain. But Athena's curse kept her soul rooted to her serpentine body. The afterlife was forever out of her reach. For there were no Elysian fields for monsters. Gingerly, Medusa touched the fresh scar on her cheek. The last ship to visit had brought Spartans onto her shore, brave soldiers come to conquer the mighty snake-haired Gorgon, vicious and vile men, the lot of them. If not for her cursed stare, they might have gotten her. In the end, however, victory had been hers. Another fleet turned to stone, trinkets for her Gothic gallery of failed heroes. The great screeching of her sisters drew Medusa's attention to the sea. They cawed warnings of the oncoming ship, which advanced faster than expected. Why her sisters cared whether she lived or died, Medusa didn't know. Even they, her own blood, could not meet her deadly gaze. They kept their distance, protecting her from afar. Medusa did not know of her monstrous sisters until after she had been cursed, nor did she know her parents were great sea creatures. In hindsight, this lineage made sense. The priestesses of the temple had raised her. However, she had always been drawn to the sea. Perhaps that was why he had taken an interest in her in the first place. Her former life seemed a pleasant dream. So many years had passed on this desolate island. Had her face ever been framed by golden locks instead of hissing snakes? Had she ever danced on white sand shores with adoring patrons? Had she ever been surrounded by anything but death? Her old life seemed so silly compared to this harsh reality, yet she would give anything to have it back. Tonight was the full moon, her one night of peace every cycle, the night the sea was at its most beautiful. As she made her way across the vast temple, Medusa found her reflection in a shard of mirror. She could just make out her face, still young, still cruelly beautiful despite the scars and snakes of her hair. It was an evil joke that her face had not changed. Athena's constant reminder of what Medusa had once been, of her former humanity. Without this face, it would be almost easy to forget she was ever raised as a human, so easy to be lost beneath the snakes and claws and scales. The serpents crowning her head curled around her face as if to comfort her. It was painful even for Medusa to look into her own eyes. They seemed every color at once. It made her temples ache, yet it was difficult to look away. She suspected this was how the warriors felt, compelled to look into the eyes of death, to peek into Pandora's box. Medusa slithered solemnly towards the back gardens of the demolished temple. There thrived the only life left on the miserable island. There she surveyed the beautiful grounds fed by the waters of a spring fountain. This place, the only bit of island left untouched by Athena's wrath, was her sanctuary. The garden was a gift from her beloved, a place teeming with flora and light. Here there were no eyes to see her, no flesh to turn to stone. Flowers of every kind grew, their colors so vivid, so full of life. It was the one place Medusa felt a connection to her former self. At the edge of the fountain, Medusa coiled and waited, watching the shifting colors of the sky as the sun sank beneath the sea. Finally, the moon rose in its brilliance, causing the ocean to sparkle. She sat entranced by its beauty, while behind her the waters of the fountain stirred. The spring rose gently frothed and shifted as a flowing form emerged. Strong, wet arms wrapped around her shoulders. With a sigh, she settled back into their embrace. "How are you this evening, dearest?" a strong voice echoed. Her heart leapt. Gently hissing, the snakes of her hair calmed. Her eyes closed, and she smiled. Better now. The fluid figure rose up to sit next to her on the fountain's ledge. She gazed at the translucent liquid version of the man with whom she'd fallen in love so many years ago. His cool lips brushed hers, his waters calmly washing over them. He tenderly returned her gaze and winced. Even in this form, her eyes had the power to bring him pain. Medusa's heart sank. She could see the hurt reflected in the pools of his eyes. She quickly looked back out to the sea. "It is beautiful, isn't it?" he asked her. "You know it is," she laughed lightly. "It's all for you." His cool hands ran down her arm, sending shivers through her. "Sing for me." "No, my love," she replied solemnly. "My voice has gone to rust with misuse. I have no time for such frivolity. Warriors come by the dozens to cut me down." "Your voice is sweet as ever," he sighed, kissing her cheek. There, he noticed the fresh scar. "They have marred your beautiful face." "You are a fool to call me beautiful," she hissed sadly. "These hunters, they grow in number and strength, or perhaps I grow tired. I've been here too long. I have pleaded with Zeus to free you. However, I am a danger. He will not let me go. No living thing can survive my gaze, not even you." Medusa continued to watch the approaching ship. There was nothing he or anyone could do to stop this newest onslaught. Athena decreed anyone looking for Medusa's head would find calm waters and a favorable wind between their ship and the island. Her love had argued with Zeus, but Athena would not be reasoned with, not even by the king of the gods. "They are coming for you, my dearest," he told her suddenly. She wasn't surprised. He always tried to warn her when the danger was nigh, but never so bluntly. "I saw the ship on the horizon this morning," she told him, staring at the daunting silhouette in the distance. This one made her uneasy. There was something different about it. In all her years, she had never seen a faster ship. "Let them come," Medusa told him with false confidence. "I will be ready." "Not this time," he replied to her surprise. "He is a son of Zeus." Medusa looked to the flowers of her garden. She had lived here so long, wishing she could leave, wishing she could put an end to this gruesome imprisonment. Now her love said she would soon be conquered. You can try to fight him, but he will win," he told her sadly. "You wish me not to fight? You want him to take my head?" "I want nothing of the sort, but there is nothing you can do." She could feel his grief. "Athena has shown him how to defeat you." Medusa sat silently. Many times she had longed to die, longed for the afterlife, whatever it held for her. Now hearing she would be dead upon the ship's arrival, she was not sure what she wanted. "Then let me die," Medusa sighed. "Perhaps I will finally find my peace in the underworld." "Athena will not let you go so easily." "Easy?" Her snakes hissed and recoiled. "You call centuries of entrapment on this island, of being tangled in this body, easy?" "Steady, my love," he soothed. "Athena has decreed you will be defeated, but she has bound you in this body, and so you will remain. Zeus's son wants your head to defeat the Kraken, and Athena wants it as a trophy. Then you will be captive, forever looking out from her shield." "Dreadful," Medusa hissed. "This is to be my fate." "I have a solution," he replied. "I cannot keep him from slaying you. However, I can keep you from an eternity of service to Athena." "How?" she asked, her snakes' tongues flickering. All their eyes turned towards him. "Sleep, my love. Morpheus will come. Will keep you in dreams until Athena has done with you. You will not wake. You will not feel the blade, nor any other torment." Medusa rested against him once more, his rippling waters soothing against her. She only felt at peace when she slept, when the sighing and susurrations of the snakes were finally silent, a far more agreeable fate than the alternative. "Then I am to remain that way forever?" she asked. Faith, my love, I will come for you, as I have come every waxing moon. He smiled down at her, softly placing his cool, damp cheek against hers. Until then, be steady. Sing for me. Sing and think of what sweet dreams await you in Morpheus's care. Poseidon wrapped his aqua arms around her, enveloped in the lapping tranquility of his embrace. Medusa sang sweet songs of water nymphs and sea creatures. Her voice was rough, but her songs could still tempt the gods down from Olympus. She and Poseidon lay together by the fountain until the sun rose. There she remained when Zeus's son claimed her head. And that is the end of Medusa's story. Not the most fun ending, but that is how Medusa dies, very sadly. And then we go into the brothers next Friday, hopefully. And then we get to meet Rhett Steamrun. He is the main character of another novel that I wrote that is in the steampunk genre. So that should be a fun one. It's a character I enjoy very much, and hopefully you will too. Does anybody have any questions for me? Probably not, but I like to wait anyway, just in case. Again, you can find my books on Amazon, on my website, www.aprilwahlin.com. You can sign up for my email there to get the latest information on when my readings are and other such things. This will be reposted on YouTube, and directly after this it'll be on Facebook with a donation link to the NAACP. And so if anybody would like to donate, that would be it's a great cause, and it would be greatly appreciated by everyone, I'm sure. All right, well, thank you so much for tuning in. Hope you guys are having a good weekend, and enjoy.